You're tuned in to Repco Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Proudly brought to you by Repco, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Rislone. This week, Annihilator, Rod Dixon's Pro Touring Camaro packing supercharged LSA power, and Kumu gears up for number 28. We catch up with the man behind West Auckland icon, the Repco Classic Car and Hot Rod Festival. But first, thanks to Rislone, we're doing things a bit different this week. COVID may have laid waste to much of 2021's event calendar, but who needs car shows when you've got a group of like-minded mates lined up for a lazy Sunday drive? A cruise low and slow.
Well, I've always been into cars, like my whole life, ever since I was a little boy, like car crazy. I'd been around it, but it wasn't until I went for a ride in Hunn's 6.4, Candy Red 6.4 on gold Daytons with pretty good hydraulic setup, and that was it. It was hopping and big three wheels, and then I knew from that day that was me.
I remember watching a video, the band POD, they released a CD-DVD compilation. As a kid, watching the videos of them all hanging backstage and hanging out with their mates, and it was the very first time I remember seeing a lowrider. It was a 58 Impala, and they come round the corner and this thing just drops, and I'd never seen anything like it, and it just blew my mind. So that was it. I remember that was the kick-off point for me.
I think once you go in a car with hydraulics and you ride around and you see people's reaction to that, there's nothing else like it. I've been in all sorts of cars and race cars and all sorts, but nothing compares to that feeling from a lowrider. You can be pulling down the street in like a brand new Lamborghini, but everyone's going to be looking at your lowrider. So,
while this Sunday convoy all represent Lowrider Club carnales, today's get-together lacks the structure or indeed the full turnout of a club run. Instead, it's low-key, relaxed. A lowrider, after all, is built to cruise.
Well, it's typically a full-size American car, rear-wheel drive, lowered, however you want to do it. Like traditionally hydraulic suspension, but even just lowered is fine. Back in the days, they used to use sandbags, you know? Yeah, just a lowered, full-size American vehicle on white walls and smaller wheels. Yeah, normally like 13 or 14-inch wheels, custom paint, and yeah, just a low and slow cruiser, pretty much.
I love the fact that it's not honed in on one sole thing. Like, you got dudes with bombs, you got dudes that got mad pinstriping all through it, you got dudes with just clean paint jobs, and you got other guys that got run neons and all sorts. You got hoppers, you got oldies, dudes run bags. I mean, who cares, man? It's just exactly how you want your car to be, but with the right passion. I don't know. I think it's the way you treat it. A lot of people like to stipulate and say, oh, it's wires or this or that. I believe a lowrider is the way you treat it, the way you drive it, the way you care for that car. You know, that car is your girl, you know, you treat her like if she's your girl other than your wife, so to speak.
For me, it's pretty much affects everything, like music I listen to, clothing, like my tattoos. To me, I see it all, it's all tied in. It's all tied into that lowrider culture, and it's all things that I liked anyway. Even before I liked lowriders, I liked the whole LA music and LA graffiti scene and like lots of that West Coast sort of culture, which goes hand in hand with the lowrider thing. So then when I did get into that, it just made sense, you know?
Lowriding's origins are credited to Los Angeles, California, an automotive expression with its roots firmly fixed in Mexican-American culture. Those foundations are still heavily referenced and celebrated today. The adjustable suspension isn't a hard and fast rule, but is clearly a lowrider trademark. It started as a workaround, the option to raise the ride height at the flick of a switch, a trick to get around a line in California's vehicle code specifically written with the scene's low-slung Chevys in its sights. The rest, as they say, is history. And the lowrider movement has spread far further than the LA city limits.
Well, I mean, it's everywhere, like even in like Russia and Sweden, Poland, I've seen lowriders, you know, and like white walls, hydraulic suspension, so it's cool. In Japan, like Japan's killing it. They've got like the baddest cars out now, you know. Yeah, every country does have its own spin on it, but I think the cool thing is when you see it, you instantly still know, oh, that's a lowrider. No matter what it is, when it's done in that style, you still know.
Here in New Zealand, the lowrider subculture is thriving. There's a strong sense of community and solid club base. Lowriding has its own nationals, social media accounts dedicated to its history. They do their own thing. But interestingly, the lowrider community hasn't been boxed in either. The vehicles are just as likely to feature on the guest list of a hot rod show as they are welcomed at the Fore and Rotary events. But push all that to the side, and it seems nothing beats the simplicity of a drive in your Sunday best.
I think structure in lowriders doesn't really work out too good anyway when you try and mix the two, so it's really just relaxed and chilled, you know? It's especially here in New Zealand, it's got a real chilled vibe, and it's just about, you know, hanging out with good people and get your friends together and just no set plan. You know, there's not a schedule, it's just chilled and just cruise and enjoy the good weather.
The biggest pull for me and my family was the whole fact that it is a family-orientated gathering, sport, whatever you want to call it, lifestyle. And I think that was the main thing, is family and, you know, just the friends aspect of it, you know, and like-minded individuals and kids all intermingling and having fun, going to barbecues, standing around talking about your cars, talking about their cars, talking about what they're doing in their life coming up, you know. It's just good times with good people, man. It's all it should be. I mean, this world's got too much negative and hate in it as it is, you know. You know, why not do things we enjoy these days, you know? Low and slow, man. Yeah, just cruise. To me, like, the epitome of a lowrider is just chill cruise. Got your sounds on, got your music on. When you're cruising and you're set up just right, you know, you got your ride height sorted, and you got your tunes on, you got your wife next to you and your kids chilling in the back, and you're heading off to go get an ice cream, or you're heading off to go meet up with mates. It's just that feeling, the right song and the sun pouring in. It's just, there's nothing else. It's heaven on earth, man. It's, yep.
Protection of hybrid ceramic.
Whoa.
Now in 3 easy-to-use products. In original spray wax, now as a liquid wax, and a spray detailer. Meguiar's hybrid ceramic family with advanced SiO2 technology. Meguiar's, ceramic made easy.
Rizlone has been in engines almost as long as engines have been in cars. Why? Because from then until now, there's never been a perfectly clean fuel. This means every time you fill up, you're adding pollutants and contaminants to your fuel system. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner can cure those woes and help save your engine. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner adds an upper cylinder lubricant, providing double the cleaning power out of the same bottle. We know something about aging well, so when we say it's your engine's fountain of youth under a screw top, you can count on it. Rizlone is the original engine tune-up, available at participating stores near you.
You're back with Repco Muscle Garage. Stay tuned for Rod's rapid Pro Touring Camaro coming up real fast. But first, thanks to Mount Shop, we're off to meet the man behind one of New Zealand's biggest auto events, a West Auckland icon, the Repco Classic Car and Hot Rod Festival, affectionately known best as Kumu. The massive multi-day festival started life as a humble club event under the National Street Rod Association banner. But what it's grown into nearly 3 decades on is just a bit hard to put a label on.
Other events around the country are got their own idiosyncrasies, but with Kumu it's really hard to put a handle on it. It's a bit of grass that turns into, well, it's a mecca of cars. Started out with like hot rods and stuff like that, then into cruisers. It's a participants event. If you like cars, just come along. We usually get about 5,000 cars there, Commodores all the way through to Falcons and hot rods, and we don't really know who's coming. All we do is we just put it in place and open up the gates and do the paperwork, and everybody that comes, it's their event, so they look after it pretty good. It's just a car cultural thing.
Kumeu is a bit of an institution, really. Everybody's here that's anybody in hot rodding or classics. It's a bit of a reunion almost. Big show, well supported.
Oh, it's atmosphere. It's one of the biggest shows in New Zealand. And you're catching up with people that you don't see for years.
Set up camp and, you know, get the leaners out in the gazebo, and yeah, no, it's just a good atmosphere.
Yeah, really great bunch of people, really family orientated. It's a really great couple of days out. You get to see a lot of nice classic cars and retro caravans, you name it.
With its 28th birthday rolling around in January, the festival these days is a bit of a monster. There's not a whole lot of vacant real estate in Kumeu showgrounds, but somehow, despite this scale and sitting just a stone's throw from New Zealand's biggest city, the festival's laid-back and relaxed atmosphere feels about 1,000,000 miles from anywhere.
I think Kumeu does that. Kumeu gives you that feeling you're out in the country, but you're still so close. Out west, I mean, with all the Westies, it's car orientated. Kumeu, there is just so many cars floating around, and this is the place to come to.
It's the whole West Auckland thing. We're actually quite a laid-back sort of group of people. The guys that come to Kumeu and camp all the weekend, it's their event. And what they're doing is they're taking ownership of it as well. So they've got that attitude, and it's very laid back. It's just evolved that way because it's them that have evolved it, and all the participants have made it that way. So it is pretty different, and it won't change. It's pretty different because you just don't know what's going to happen.
So, the Repco Classic Car and Hot Rod Festival. Yep, clearly a car show. But aside from the lines and lines of automobiles on show, it's not too hard to find plenty of other worthy distractions. The event lives up to the festival tag. There's camping on site with live music, the bar, and a food hall overlooks the hustle and bustle of the barbecues, live displays and pageant shows. Kumeu has its share of wheeling and dealing too. Early birds get the worms at the swap meet, while the trade tents showcase the talents of local workshops, and the show sheds provide a welcome respite from the summer heat. It's here where things get a little more serious. The sheds get packed with a variety of high-caliber hot rods, muscle cars, street machines, even race cars, looking all the better for being tucked away from Kumeu's dust. These days, steering the Kumeu ship is very much a family deal for the Galvins. It's not one without challenges. Gearing up for the festival's 28th year and the requirements around health and safety, traffic management and waste have grown as rapidly as the festival itself. The relaxed show atmosphere hides a lot of work and cost behind the scenes, at times leaving Ken and Desma wondering what sort of monster they've created.
Yes, every day we do it. We don't sleep, it's just like full on. But I would do it all again tomorrow. It's actually turned into I didn't see my mate there last year, and they actually own their own plot of land now. And it's like, but I was there last year, and that's the sort of thing that we're struggling with sometimes. Even to the point where somebody rang up the other day and says, oh, my tree's gone. Where's my tree gone? We're going, really? It's like...
Make sure you get along to the 28th Repco Classic Car and Hot Rod Festival when it rolls into the Kumeu Showgrounds from the 14th to the 16th of January.
It's a good thing. It's a really good thing. Every car owner is proud of what he's got. They might be lawyers or doctors or whatever. All New Zealanders, I think, are all Westies when they've got cars. So it's the New Zealand way.
Right, thanks to our mates at Maguire's, we're in the Waikato, getting up to speed with Rod Dixon's Annihilator, a supercharged LSA-powered Pro Touring spec Camaro.
How would I explain it? Black, loud, fast, bulletproof. Yeah, yep, bulletproof. Well, I first started, I suppose my old man has always been into cars. He used to change his cars like he changed his socks, so to speak. So it was inevitable that I was going to, end up loving cars. Really, he had a passion later on in life for Commodores, and I also, followed in his footsteps and always had the V8s, the SSs, Club Sports, GTSs.
However, there'd also long been a special spot reserved in Rod's heart for another of GM's icons.
Would have been probably 15, 16 years old. There was a movie called Tough Turf. I think it was a 67 or 68 Camaro, had the hideaway headlights. The moment I saw it, I loved it. I always thought, I'd get one day, but, time passes and you get married, have kids, etc. One day the opportunity arose. Just one of those things. It was just, needed it, wanted it, had to have it.
And a decade back, Rod set about turning that dream into a reality. A Trade Me search offered up this 68 SS featuring those all-important hideaway headlights but minus the original big block. A 350 TPI motor sitting in front of the original Muncie 4-speed.
The car was a good car. It was a good 20-footer. Get up close, there was a few little bubbles of rust here and there, and the paint wasn't quite perfect, but it got favourable comments at shows and stuff, and I put some decent wheels on it, and it looked like it was a nice car. But I always wanted to have a car built for me. The opportunity was there. I didn't have anybody in my life to tell me no. The bank was saying yes, so that was the way to go, Initially, I was only going to put the supercharged V8 in it, but as soon as you start talking to people, they say, well, if you're going to do this, you got to do that. You got to do that, you got to do something else. So basically it just snowballed. My mate and I went over to Matamata where the car was built. There was a guy that was building it for us, Ian Kenyon. He had a Mustang at the time. He was building for a customer. As soon as I saw it, I thought, no, this is the way I want to go with the Camaro. It had an Art Morrison front end on it, 4-link suspension, all the stuff that I wanted. So I thought that's the track I want to go down. A lot of people don't like the big wheels at the back and rah. They like to keep it standard. That's all well and good. I love the standard cars as much as anybody else, but I just wanted something different. I just wanted something that looked like a Camaro but didn't, if you know what I mean. It's something a little bit different but out there.
So, Pro Touring Spec was the order of the day, a task entrusted to the talented chap that is Ian Kenyon of Obsession Muscle Cars. However, the 20-footer starting point soon did what all good projects do, throwing a big old spanner in the works.
He called me over. He said, you better come over, have a look at this. We've got something to discuss. So get over there, and both rear guards are pink, absolutely full of bog. At one stage there, it had been in a horrific accident. Yeah, I should have really just started off with a new shell. But them's the brakes.
Righting the wrongs of the Camaro's former bog sculptor wasn't done in half measures. New quarter panels, door skins, hood, and a taillight panel were added to the shopping list, joining the staggered set of Simmons. The wheels, a key part of kicking off the bodywork. The stance set so mini tubs could first be formed around the wide rollers. With the bodywork underway, Rod went looking for an LSA and struck gold. A 2015 Camaro only managed 3,000 miles before finding itself on its roof. The factory 577 horsepower 6.2-litre V8, 1.9-litre Eaton supercharger and 6-speed box all making their way in the direction of the 68. The conversion making use of plenty of other factory offerings from the donor car too, like ECU, coolers, fuel pump and radiator, even headers. The chassis was stiffened up and brought into modern times with the addition of Art Morrison GT clips top and tail. Up front, that means C6 Corvette forged arms, rack and pinion steering, adjustable sway bars, and big Willwood brakes. Out back, a triangulated 4-link locates a strange 9-inch posi-track diff with strange coilovers and more from the Willwood catalogue. The result? Not quite the Camaro that Chev delivered in '68.
Well, it's night and day. The old car, leaf springs, used to wander all over the road. You'd jump in it and drive to Beach Shop. By the time you got there, you're absolutely exhausted. Now I could jump in it, drive to Wellington, and I'd be sweet. Yeah, it's just so smooth. It handles better than my partner's SS, so that speaks volumes. There's plenty of power in that motor. One day I plan to put a cam in it or something like that, but at the moment it still skids the rear wheels in second gear. So,
fresh from its 18-month build, and the SS might be a whole lot more car than the movie version that first planted the seed in Rod's mind. Rapid, reliable, and turns like it's on rails. This Camaro is all Pro Tourer. Built to drive, and Rod has no hesitation in doing just that, any chance he gets.
I've always wanted one. There's a lot of people out there don't get the opportunity to do that or to get what they want, but do it while you can when you got the opportunity. So yeah, I still pinch myself, yeah. I never thought I'd ever get to build a car, that's for sure.
Your ride needs some love? We've got you sorted. Thanks to our mates at Maguire's, we have this massive complete car care pack worth over $760 to give away. Plus, a $500 mount shop voucher to keep the underside ship-shape too. And to top it off, 1 year subscription to NZ V8 magazine. To enter, simply head to themotorhood.com and hit the Repco Muscle Garage link. The winner will be drawn at the end of the series. Easy. During this year's Repco Supercars Championship season, the garage is your go-to place for all things supercars and motoring. Exclusive content, special guests, and your chance to win amazing experiences at the track. Register your interest today. Repco Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Rizlo, high-performance additives for high-performance vehicles.